But back to our question, if Jesus is God, did God die? And who was running the affairs of the world in those 3 days and 3 nights? Who was running the affairs of the world? Now, do you know what the actual issue here is? The actual issue here is the understanding of what death means. So this is where many people get it wrong. Sadly, even many Muslims that are giving this argument. Because they believe that the idea of death, that death means cessation of life. But let's see something very interesting in one of the surahs. And that's Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah 2. If someone can check Surah 2 verse 154. Just see that very fast together. Surah 2 verse 154. I think that should might be the last surah we'll read together because of our time. Surah 2, or maybe we just see only that, or maybe one more. Surah 2 verse 154. Are we there? Who is there? Just checking on Google. Surah 2 is called the Surah Al-Baqarah. Okay, who is there? I think Al-Baqarah means a heifer, the heifer or the cow. Okay, what does can you? Okay, please.
Never say that those martyred in the cause of Allah. Yeah, never say those martyred in the cause of Allah are dead. In fact, they are alive, but you do not perceive it.
So, in essence, even the Quran teaches that death is not cessation of life. Are we together? Okay? Can you see that? So in essence, like I said, the original issue with that question of if Jesus is God, did God die? Is the wrong idea of death, that death means that for someone to be wiped out of existence. Are we together? And that's not what death means. Death is simply what the separation of the soul from the body. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
The separation of the soul from the body. That means the body becomes lifeless. Okay? It becomes lifeless. It stops breathing anymore and is in the grave. But the soul is still alive. It's still in existence. Are we together?
Yes,
that is actually death. That's why you see in James, what does James say? That was, as the body without the spirit is dead, James 2. As the body without the spirit is dead, so even so faith without works is dead. So death is what? It's the separation of the body from the soul. When I say soul now, I'm using in the same context of spirit now. Suke or pneuma. There's no time to explain on that today. Okay? So it's the separation of the body from the soul. So death is not being wiped out of existence or cessation of life. It is the body that becomes lifeless, but the soul is still existing, which is the actual essence of the person. Are we together? Okay? And we see that with Jesus, that was the case. Because Jesus' body was lifeless. It was buried right in the tomb, in Joseph's tomb, right? But his soul was not lifeless. His soul went somewhere. That's what you see in Acts 2. He said that what? For you will not leave my soul in hell. Neither will you allow my flesh to see corruption. That's not what this, he's seeing this, spoke of the resurrection of Jesus, that his soul was not left in hell. Acts 2 verse 25 to 31. After he spoke about the resurrection of Jesus, that his soul was not left in hell, neither did his flesh see corruption. So Jesus' soul went somewhere. His soul was in existence. So the concept of death is not what many skeptics think. Do you get that? Now let's see 2 verses that we have to buttress that. Okay, I will just, because of our time, we'll see just one together. John chapter 10. I didn't plan I will jump the way I'm jumping. The number of things I've jumped already today. John chapter 10. But before we read John chapter 10, I will just quote John chapter 2 verse 19 to 22. What is Jesus saying in John 2, 19 to 22? So you get to understand that the concept, are you listening to me? You get to understand that the concept of death is different from what many skeptics think that death is. They believe that death is cessation of life and being wiped out of existence. Okay? Okay? They believe that death is what? Being wiped out of existence, cessation of life. But that's not death. What is death? Huh? Separation of the soul from the body, right? So the body becomes lifeless, but the soul is still in existence, which is the actual essence of the person. So you gotta understand that what the idea of the concept of death of men's skeptics is where the problem is. What is? It's not what they think it is. Because reading through John 2, what did Jesus say? That what? Destroy this temple, and what will happen in 3 days? I will raise it up. How can someone that is dead raise it up himself? Reading down to verse 31, he said what he was talking about the temple of his body. That even when if he dies, he's going to rise up in 3 days. Now see John 10. Are we there? John 10 verse 17. John 10 verse 17. John 10 verse 17 to 18. We're going to read verse 17 to 18 together now. Are we ready? Are we ready? Carry cross together. Everybody want to go? Therefore, my Father loves me because I lay down my life that I may take it again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down myself. I have power to lay it down, and I have power to take it again. This command I have received from my Father. Isn't that really amazing? So the same Jesus that is laying down his life is going to take it up again. It shows that he's not wiped out of existence. Are we together? So death is not being wiped out of existence. It is what is separation of the soul from the body. So the body might be lifeless, yes, but the soul, which is the actual essence of the person, is still very much alive. Okay? So like that we saw when we saw the Surah Al-Baqarah. You see that even the Quran teaches that what death is not cessation of life. So you see that many times the argument will always come back to haunt them. Like I said. So if you are being questioned, like I was saying earlier, one of the issues with Muslims is that many times when they are arguing, they are arguing violently. They don't want to hear you. So they're like, did Jesus die? Answer. You see, you're shaking. Answer. Calm down, let him answer. You're shaking. You can't see, you're shaking. You're not composed. You know you're wrong. You're not going to answer. Calm down, let him answer. So when you're asked or quizzed that did Jesus die, or if Jesus is God, did God die? He said his flesh died. His flesh died. Or his body died. Okay? But his soul was, or his spirit was still very much alive. Very much alive. Okay? So it did not cease to exist. He only died in the flesh. Glory to Jesus. So the mindset of many atheists, including the Sadducees, that death was cessation of life, is wrong.